Happy to have you back here at the SMITE Console League. Aggro is definitely over there. Man, you guys ruined my reveal. It is indeed Ryan Aggro Bailey joining me here on the desk. My name is Finch as we move into Xbox in A for the rest of the day. This is our final set. It's going to be Blanche Fan Club going up against Sanguine. These are some teams that have been struggling. I believe 1-2 for Blanche, 0-3 for Sanguine right now, but definitely some talent on both these teams.
Absolutely. I mean, Keeg's there. Anytime he's on a team, you know, we're going to be watching them and seeing how they can adjust. A lot of familiar names on the Sanguine side as well.
Yeah.
JTask and the boys, but just a matter of getting the teamwork there. And frankly, Xbox NA has become very, very competitive. A lot of these teams have improved by quite a bit, and so I'm looking forward to seeing which of these teams that are in the middle of the pack right now or on the bottom end can start making their way up and trying to challenge Hype Unit.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think if you're towards the bottom against a team or against a league where Hype Unit's in there, you don't have to feel too bad. That team's that strong, right? They're their current reigning console champs, so they only have 3 members of that team with them right now.
Yep.
They're the bar that everyone who plays with the controller in their hand measure them against.
Exactly. It's just the way that it's the nature of the beast. That's the way it's got to go. You've got to beat the best to be the best. And luckily, I think that does help NA Xbox. They've got the world champions in their region because that means they're practicing against them more than anybody else.
And you got to make sure that you're coming correct if you want to beat that squad. We're in to the picks and bans now, and Morrigan has already been banned out here up against Blanche. It's Sanguine that are in that first pick spot here. I am a little bit surprised we're seeing Morrigan getting prioritized with this high of a ban, though she certainly is strong. Maybe some concern that maybe Truancii would be piloting this one. They want to take that one away. Or even that Bobby would take it into the long lane, perhaps, over there.
It's just versatile. You can't really play around it that well because it can be anything, literally, with that ultimate.
Right.
And in the late game, you just get so many one-shot opportunities, and the Morrigan is one of those characters. It's so hard to play around. We've got a throwaway ban in the first slot. Take it out. I've got no problem with it.
King Arthur also getting banned, so this one feels like a bit of an eye towards Delnyy then in particular, trying to maybe limit what he's able to play in that long lane. This King Arthur has looked pretty strong here lately, but maybe just not quite up there with some of the ones that we've been seeing a ton of, right? I mean, Kronos does eventually get banned, so thank goodness, but Erlang Shen still out there. He's one that's considered very strong. Thor still out there as well. There's a lot of good stuff that did not get banned.
Merlin, AMC, all of those things are really good, and none of them are what Sanguine decide to first pick. Instead, they go with the Osiris, which is fine. It's fine. It just feels like first picking Jingwei to me.
Right.
You know? It's a
which I'll never sign on
to. It's a coward's move.
You're picking something where you can't lose the lane, right?
Yeah.
Jingwei, and it's going to be fine. Osiris, fine, whatever.
Yeah, great. We have Osiris on our team. We're really excited about it. Set is open, by the way. Horus is open, by the way. We've got a lot of really good things open. And maybe it's that, you know, you walk into the candy shop and you kind of like shut down as a child because you have too many options.
Yeah, that's grabbing a Hershey bar in a candy shop.
You're like, are you sure? We drove all the way to the candy shop and we could have gotten this at Target. But that's what they wanted, I guess.
It'll be good. They're not wrong. Set and Nike, though, picked up, and that gives them a ton of dive potential between the two of them. Set, obviously, would prefer to have someone who's a bit isolated so you can sit on them with some basics. But if Nike's on there slowing everyone to all heck with that Sentinel of Zeus and being unkillable, then that's going to be pretty tough for whoever's on the backline to try and survive.
I'm a little surprised at how little Nike we've seen, but simultaneously not that surprised. I think that she's a character that pro-level players play around very well. And I'm excited to see how teams continue to utilize her as the year goes on. And this is exactly the type of set you want to do it in, where both these teams have struggled a little bit. You need to switch something up, so we may as well end up picking something that we think probably should be really good. We just haven't been able to prove that it is yet.
Chernobog and Athena come in. That gives even more rotation ability over here on the side of Sanguine. Obviously, Chernobog can go towards any enemy, and then Athena can follow right along if she so chooses. So it's a pretty good competition if they can make use of that rotational capability. It might be difficult when they land if there's a Kumbhakarna waiting on them, though, with the Mez and the Rude and the Banish, I guess. What do you want to call the ultimate? You're out of here.
Yeah,
that's what you want to call it, right? A lot of tools available to him.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the other side, you've got this unkillable Nike, a set that's very mobile.
Yeah.
It might be hard to lock down this draft from Blanche Fan Club so far.
Yeah, even with something like Confound and Athena taunt at their disposal. Blanche do eventually recognize that maybe some junglers should be banned. They take away the Erlang Shen and the Thor. That does limit the options there for Kumquat on what he'll want to take, but he won't be anything that's quite that good.
No, I mean, Hun Bats is open. That doesn't look too bad. You want something with heavy CC to punish those who use beads on Athena taunt. Hun Bats looks a little bit attractive in that instance. You go with something else like the Circuit that's also fairly CC heavy. Maybe if you need auto attack damage, you can go with a more auto attack focused character. The Kumbhakarna shuts that down. Or you can Ghost on Wukong and either put that in jungle or Osiris in jungle, neither of which seems super good against Nike Kumbhakarna frontline.
Yes, I have to assume it's Osiris jungle if I have to pick from these two, which
Well,
I must now
like
do.
I said, like I have to. Like I said, Hype Unit plays in this region.
Right.
Layers has played a decent amount of Wukong jungle.
Sure.
And here's why Layers wins with it. Because he's really, really good.
Really
and
good.
so is his team.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Sanguine aren't that same level, but Sanguine aren't that same level. I am
Right.
going to say it. I
Yeah.
changed my mind halfway
I like where
through.
you landed, because I was going to have to say it.
Right. I didn't want to put you in that position. Yeah, they're not. This is ambitious.
Yes, I would agree with you
Yeah.
as Habwa comes through, and I have to imagine then that this is Habwa laning. They already have set, which based on this composition, I imagine is going to be going into the jungle there for them. So Habwa
Could
ADC
be.
or potentially mid.
Could be set ADC hop
I
on
guess so.
jungle. Yeah, they're flexible.
Good point then. We'll see where everything ends up landing. Sanguine going up against Blanche Fan Club. Let's get into the action.
Sanguine Esports taking it, and it's going to be Blanche Fan Club. Gotta love the dog right there. Good logo.
It's a good logo.
It is a good logo.
Kind of hard to go wrong with the dog in your logo, though.
That's exactly.
I'd actually
where
feel a little bit bad here for Sanguine that they don't have a dog in their logo.
that does kind of hurt. Oh, I wonder if it's going to hurt him in the game. Tom and Taco, obviously, on the microphone. Doug on the camera, as usual. Truancii in the middle lane on the Chernobog. We heard these guys talking about which jungler would come out, and it's going to be Sun Wukong. StRyDEr Prime on the SWK in the jungle. What's your take on the Monkey King in the jungle?
I can't say that Sun Wukong is what first comes to mind when I think about jungle gods.
Yeah.
But in this composition for Sanguine, it's definitely a beefy look for the team. Having the Osiris, Wukong, and Athena does provide a lot of reinitiation aspects for the team, which could pose a strong issue for Blanche. That is, if it wasn't for IAmTheHamster being Kumbhakarna.
Yeah, Kumba, certainly an interesting look there. Across the way, we also have Delnyy on the set. Keegan on the Habwa. So the long lane Hebo, this is one of the classic, we've seen mages kind of take over the carry role. Well, Habwa has been, Habwa, Vulcan, these are some of the characters that have actually been there once upon a time. Linking over though, Hamster making a play on a Bobby, but he's all right.
A little bit too forced there from Hamster. Maybe should have waited until Keegan was actually in range to look for a water spout or water cannon. Either of which won't really be an option here, but DoctorL gonna eat some decent poke in return. Nice consecrate from BMBobby's. Gonna do a little bit in the health department, but not a ton this early on.
Exactly, it's going to take a while before Olorun really starts to do much of anything. He's definitely a character that is late game focused. Now, when the late game comes, it's impressive. The ultimate obviously is a big deal. We got to see it last match as well. But the damage starts to come. He's a crit-oriented character, so of course late game is where he's going to be focused. But yeah, this early game is really weak, Taco.
Just trying to prioritize that magical power items for BMBobby so you can get the best usage of those Olorun crits. But not only that, even jumping into the nitty-gritty of this duo lane, Keegan on the Habwa, it's not that unconventional to see mages in the dual lane these days. It's largely due to the fact that dual lane's just where all the farm is at. So you throw a mage there, that way they get mostly safe farm since it's a rather difficult lane for junglers to gank in competitive play due to not wanting to be punished elsewhere, of course. And Keegan on this Habwa, his largest restriction is probably just going to be his mana.
That's a big thing, yeah. Without the blue buff, right? But how we've seen the Hebos kind of react there is we see a lot of Breastplate of Valor come out. Even in a world with Pridwin, BOV is home to play people that need the mana and sustain. But with that in mind, he's going up against a magical carry. I think if this was a traditional hunter, the third item, Breastplate of Valor, is immediately what you think of. But is that the direction he's going to go against BMBobby on the Olorun is a different question.
Keegan should just look for the full glass cannon approach here on this Habwa. The
Agreed.
more damage, the better. Blow up this Olorun before he even has a chance to drop the Sanctified Field, because all of the components of Blanche Fan Club have really strong burst damage behind them. Fatal Ghost is going to have that Stinger. Delny's got the Kingslayer and the Skewer even to get some really solid poke damage off. I wouldn't even be surprised to see Keegan maybe opt for a Blink in that secondary relic slot after he ticks into level 12. It's really just going to be about Blanche closing the gap past Sanguine's beefy front line of this double warrior and a guardian, and as long as they get through the Wukong and Osiris, I don't see how Truancii or Bobby survives.
Here's the first gank, and Keegan will find the knockup onto StRyDEr Prime before the Tiger hits, which is a really big deal. Tiger will do some damage. We actually, well, StRyDEr Prime is early. Later on, we'll take a look at what he's leveling. But we'll see what the Sun Wukong is going to do in the jungle. No, oh, okay, it is the 2. The 2 is what you level in the solo lane these days because of mana issues. Sometimes when we have seen the Sun Wukong in the jungle in the past, it's actually been the third ability, Animals, where you get the clear and it's a little bit rough, but the Animals, you're stunning players really hard with that Tiger, almost undoubtedly to be leveled in the second. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Because realistically, I mean, Sun Wukong jungle is an interesting look. You know, it does a lot of damage if you want to build it that way. He's got 80% scaling on the Tiger. You know, that's a big part of why it's actually possible to really see him in a damage role to begin with. At the end of the day, I mean, Wukong just disrupts a lot, so I'm eager to see if it'll work out.
And this is kind of unrelated, but Master's Will as that secondary ability name for the Wukong. We mention it all the time, but some of the names that get applied to these abilities, I get a little confused.
What's your beef with Master's Will?
It's not the Master's Will, but like, what about the Master's Will is a circle spin slow?
Well, it used to knock up, and it was his,
Fair enough.
And he just like, I'm emoting my Master's Will, and players would get knocked up all anime style, you know? It works, I get it, I see it. Now it's changed a whole lot, but, you know, I'm there. All right, we can talk Artemis.
I don't want to talk about Artemis.
On the other hand, shout out to Osiris, who has sickle. When he throws a sickle. I like that. I'm down, man. What about AMC? He's got Stinger.
And honey.
And bees. Swarm. Dude, I'm all in. Hell yeah.
JTask right now trying to go all in onto Delnyy with some assistance. Truancii gonna join the party as well with that living nightmare, and the potency of this global threat definitely coming to fruition for Sanguine into that first blood. Not a whole lot that Delny's gonna be able to do there on the set other than try to come back into lane and look for whatever farm he may.
Trouble for Jangaru. Find safety under the tower. Fatal goes stunned out. Not a lot of damage provided by StRyDEr Prime, but DoctorL goes down. I am the hamster. I am the killer. Shouts to Thursday. Looking at Blanche fan club here. They're going to go ahead and retreat after taking that one. 1-1 on the board. About tied up.
Keep an eye on this Athena, though, because DoctorL has the fully upgraded Sunder. And is just looking to prevent Jangaru or Hamster, maybe even Delnyy, from being an active participant in these mid-game team fights, because that's probably where Blanche's strong points is in that mid-game territory. But if Sunder is able to blow up one member, it doesn't really matter that Sanguine might struggle a little bit with these warriors in terms of getting all the way to Blanche, because warriors have to get up close and personal. It's not really a secret that Habwa kind of loves that, as well as Almuz and Cobb and Set. So it can be tough for Sanguine, but Sunder should definitely help with a lot of that pressure.
It's going to be an interesting one. We rarely see it. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes the other options are just a little bit more effective. I think people have looked at Frenzy as kind of like an alternative to Sunder. But at the end of the day, Sunder certainly does what it's supposed to do. It's just up to you to make use of it. I mean, you're going to, increase the damage taken. So what we saw on the right side as Truancii gets jumped on to no consequence. That's what you're looking for. DoctorL slams down. Truancii slams down. Taunt into the Sunder, and everybody kills that one dude. That's the entire game plan here for Sanguine.
To an extent. I mean, in a sense, it works in the earlier phases, but one concern that I do have is if it's going to cost you that Defender of Olympus, Living Nightmare, and a third ultimate just to kill one single member. Hold that thought, though. Keegan underneath a lot of trouble here. Has the crushing wave still to drop, but just hasn't chosen to Oh, scratch that actually. Doesn't have that crushing wave any longer. IAmTheHamster still alive, safe and sound from the sanctified field.
BMBobby getting in the way of everybody in a good way. Just finding the blocks. It's exactly what you want to do. StRyDEr Prime, on the other hand, taking a fight he probably doesn't want. Goes forward, definitely doesn't want. Knocked up, knocked down. Keegan shoos him away. 2-1. And Blanche fan club, get out of that one. StRyDEr Prime. That's just not your neighborhood, my man.
A little bit too forced. StRyDEr probably thinking he might have had a little bit more time, but won't cost his team too much after the fact. Delnyy instead could get jumped upon and will get knocked up into BMBobby's damage. That's another strike for Sanguine and a kill for the Olorun.
BMBobby gonna go for it. Truancii finds the assist off of the big damage. JTask finding the root. The taunt should find a third kill here. That one gets BMBobby's stamp of approval. 2-0-1 for the long lane Olorun.
These guys are playing baseball right now. It's just a game of catch up the throw. Blanche fan club and Sanguine both looking a little bit messy here, but JTask trying to do what he can for zone purposes. StRyDEr is going to help out that Osiris, and a Wukong and Osiris at 10 minutes in is not something that Habwa and AMC really want to tango with, so Sanguine will pull the first gold fury of the game due to Blanche's overextensions.
Yeah, very weird. So you know, it's interesting. We haven't even touched on the Nike in the jungle, which I think is... Wukong jungle speaks to me. The Nike jungle speaks to me a little bit less. I see her more of as a support character these days.
It's a trade-off. You have Wukong for that early to mid-game portion, Nike's for that mid to late game dominance. That shield is just going to be so annoying for Sanguine to actually try and chunk through. And Jangaru can be a great distraction factor for Truancii and BMBobby, because keep in mind, Jangaru's not like StRyDEr where he has to invest with 72 transformations, that Ox form possibly to break through a backline. He can just leap right into the heart of the action with Nike, and it's really difficult to precast.
Mid lane, 3v3, big ultimate coming out from the Kumbhakarna, but it's StRyDEr Prime that's gonna catch a nice angle. There's the hamster ultimate right as StRyDEr Prime drops. Nice whiff there. Keegan now in a bad spot, has to use the beads to get away from BMBobby. The rest of BFC protecting their red buff invade after the missed mid lane opportunity.
Keegan has the right idea, though.
Oh, yeah.
Water spout into the crushing wave. If he actually lands the ultimate there, BMBobby is dead by all rights, but BMBobby just narrowly able to somehow no juke away from it.
Yeah. I will say a kind of a rare miss from Keegs.
Normally I'd agree with you, but Keegan's not the same Keegan that we knew when he first debuted.
Well,
I think
sure.
he's still got a world champion title to his name, and nothing will ever take that away, but Keegan has been... I don't think that it's uncharacteristic anymore for him to not have as clean of gameplay as he once used to, when he's consistently had not as clean of gameplay as he once used to.
That's fair. That's fair. I'll give it to you. We'll see how this one winds up. Right now, he's 1-0-0, so not as successful as BMBobby across the way is at the moment. Just now finishing up that Bancroft talent, so he's certainly ready to go.
Keegan is doing a great job, though, holding his own in this dual lane when you factor in how much pressure Sanguine has been trying to apply against this Habwa. There's been a lot of attention paid towards this dual lane to try and prevent that blast cannon effect out of the Habwa. But DoctorL has to know that he's being seen right now, or being watched to some degree, because Keegan's refusing to show face, has no real reason to, and BMBobby might be the first one caught out in the trap.
Keegan's here, and everybody knows it. Bobby's aware, and so...
Smart use of the corner, though. Prevents the taunt out of DoctorL.
That was cute. Those are the little plays that I really like. You know, being able to use geometry or find an exit somewhere. Keegan taking a bunch of damage from Bobby. Bobby gets hit by the ultimate, and Keegan shows him the water hands. That's the difference when you hit the Hebo ult.
Interesting that Bobby would want to get within crushing wave range on the Olorun when he has so much range in his own kit, but sometimes common sense ain't so common.
I mean, at the same time, that same play, he got away last time, right?
I would not consider Keegan whiffing getting away with making a good decision. That's just BMBobby overstepping his boundaries. You've got to have some respect for where the Hava is at in the lane. Even if your support is right next to you in the jungle, it doesn't really matter if he's not able to get close.
He got lucky last time. Maybe he was hoping for it this time. Listen, Taco. Sometimes you get the burrito, sometimes you get the scraps.
Sometimes your entire order is just missing or stolen, but the only thing Keegan's going to steal right now is BMBobby's life and lead.
4-4 read the kills here, tied at 14 minutes. And tied to the gold as well here, like unbelievably close. 40 gold, 6 gold. That is tight. You know, wave to wave, obviously, every time a camp goes down, but that is a close game here.
The experience department, though, is where things are beginning to dip a little bit into Blanche's favor, and that's all from solo. Delnyy has been mostly left to his own devices since that early visit of Truancii and DoctorL, but it's tough for a set to get a clean solo wipe over an Osiris. Both of these guys just have so much in-hand slapboxing potential.
For real. You know, it's interesting when you look at these guys. Across the way, you've got Double Hunter. Delnyy, is there room in this build to buy the Witchblade? Because it also gives you attack speed.
I don't know if it's necessary to buy a Witchblade when you factor in how much damage Blanche's composition is capable of.
Right,
it might
kill
just
him.
be better to rely on the burst for killing Truancii and BMBobby over and over again, because even if only the Chernobog and Olorun die every time, like StRyDER's about to do in mid lane, gets into that somersault cloud, though, just in the nick of time.
Go north, go north. Oh, there it is. Nice job. Left side blinked into, slowed, and the red will hit 3 times and take down StRyDER Prime. Right side, Truancii in trouble, has help from the Athena Global. Athena now surrounded, and Blanche Fan Club will punish DoctorL for showing up for triage.
Keep in mind, Keegan still has that crushing wave, but is under no real threat to even need to use it. And Sanguine picked apart cleanly there from Blanche. And that's just a little bit of insight as to what type of power this comp has behind it.
Blanche is going to go ahead and take the Primal Fury. Sanguine a hair too late. Just barely missed their opportunity there, Taco. Very, very close to showing up and just taking it. But Blanche, they started tilting that experience in their favor, and then they slammed it home. The Gold Fury will push them again, and they're 2,000 gold up.
That chase down from Jangaru just threw Sanguine in all sorts of different directions. StRyDER tries as he may to escape, loses the blink, loses the Wukong ultimate, and ultimately loses his life. And Blanche don't need a lot for an advantage right now, because they have so much burst, like we've been mentioning, that Fatal Ghost and Keegan, they could have done that Primal Fury alone had they just had maybe a minute or so to their own. But DoctorL is gonna have to be on his tippy toes here with that Defender of Olympus, and even still, even if he does manage to get it off, that's not to say that he'll arrive in time to make much of a difference.
Sure, but at the same time, he's given, you know, some damage reduction. There's some help. There's some help there. Truancii will also be coming, right?
Damage mitigation is nice, but it only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
And let's be honest,
I'd
does
rather
it
have a
ever feel
taunt.
like reduced damage against Hava? Unless he's insanely far behind, and I'm just not getting that vibe from Sanguine. Keegan, as much as they tried to punish him in the earlier stages, the only real punishment Keegan has received has been from his own mistakes.
Ain't that true? As the game goes on, you know, Keegan will be easier to kill theoretically as characters get more crit. He will kill easier as well. Defensive ultimate used, and he's going to die anyway. Ouch. Poor decision making there from Keegan. I see what you're saying now, Taco. StRyDER Prime in the cloud. Teammates on the ground knocked over. Gonna wait to meet his other 3 teammates. Blink out. Jangaru in trouble. But around backside, here comes Hamster Man and Fatal Ghost. Olorun ult is over. 1 hit for Delnyy. Blink, blink. Delnyy should be all right.
Nothing but trade out so far. Meanwhile, Jangaru had the rest of Sanguine preoccupied. Their backline a little bit too far back to help follow up any further into Blanche fan club. Pyromancer, though, going to be looked at and pulled by Sanguine. DoctorL and JTask going to take their turns toggling this Pyromancer damage. IAmTheHamster's first one in. Jangaru's still on the backside, but he's straight onto BMBobby.
Bobby's been pushed and hit and already has his Aegis down. Jumped on by Delnyy and his whole life will be down. Jangaru hanging on by a thread and JTask pulls it like an old sweater. And he's still on the run, chasing down Hamster Man. Delnyy backside. Gonna have to deal with Truancii, Jacob, and StRyDEr Prime. 1 maybe, 2 maybe, but 3? With some help from his friends, it can happen. Keegan hits the ult on the left side. JTask leaves. StRyDEr Prime will straggle out.
Delnyy trying to close the gap right now with these sand clones and skewers, but it's not going to be enough. StRyDEr Prime is out of there for now. That is unless he isn't careful. Gonna have to back off entirely, walks the whole way through to the backside of that T2 tower. Delnyy will take that jungle buff in exchange. A blue buff for a Pyromancer that never even fell is not a bad look for Blanche, considering that it was Sanguine who had the power play opportunity.
20 minutes on the clock, and Blanche still have a just shy of 2,000 gold lead. Like everything you said, Taco, I mean, looking at, this lead, you kind of want Blanche to pick up and run with it, but Sanguine have just been standing in their way.
Sanguine have been delaying Blanche, that's for sure, but I'm not sold on Sanguine actively being able to stand up in front of Blanche fan club. I think that Sanguine has had to use too many of their team fighting ultimates in a defensive manner. And maybe it would just be better served for Sanguine to try and take the aggressor stance for once. It's mostly been responsive initiations or attempts to disengage. We haven't really seen an instance of Sanguine just going all out on anyone except for Keegan, really.
He's the target that you want to go all out on, I think. Maybe AMC as well, but Delny's somebody that can turn and burn. Try killing a Nike, I'll laugh at you. And same thing is with the Kumbhakarna kind of deal. Very, very tanky. So I don't mind the target prioritization of Keegan. Fatal Ghost could fit in there as well, though.
It's just tough because Sanguine doesn't have anything left over. They find one pick onto Keegan, but
I see what you're saying.
It comes for the price of 3 ultimates, sometimes even more cooldowns even having to be expended. And if you're having to focus all of your resources towards one lone Habois, that's not to say that Blanche doesn't have anything else at their dispense. It's just tough because Jangaru's only going to get tankier.
Yep.
Same thing for IAmTheHamster, and it's going to raise frustration levels also because it's not like Nike and Kumbhakarna are fun to play against.
I mean, Kumba definitely one of the more controlling characters. Nike has turned into that as of late. Blanche fan club here around the Gold Fury, the only Fury particularly. Sanguine pull it, leash it now as Blanche walk up. Delnyy sees Sanguine, goes right back to him. Blanche fan club pull again, Taco.
Blanche fan club just want the fight. This is classic baiting 101, and Sanguine not fully biting just yet. They know that unless they see that Oni Fury down to 30% or less, they don't have to go in.
Jacob is going to be the target, though. That said, Blanche fan club's hamster is the one that loses his whole life. Might have the passive back up. Keegan has to block him. That's why we don't see them jump in to Olorun. Frenzy is popped and it's going to be used to combat it. Olorun ultimate is already down. Here's the move from Truancii on the right side, but up north, Hamster chased out. DoctorL in trouble as he's behind enemy lines. Here comes JTask. Damage has been done by Sanguine, but they can't find a kill until the Osiris finally walks down Fatal Ghost. Truancii finally finds Keegan, and the rest will walk away. Only Fury started by Sanguine.
Just looked like miscommunication all across the board there for Blanche, but Sanguine will take their prize all the same. Oni Fury to help close up some of those gold disparities and the experience ones to boot, but Delnyy still has a 2-level lead over JTask. More importantly, it's just what JTask was able to accomplish in that last team fight. One Osiris kept IAmTheHamster and Keegan heavily preoccupied, and if Delny's going to all in onto the backline, yes, that's awesome. That's exactly what you want to see your set solo doing, but he needs help, and it can't just come from Fatal Ghost alone because Muzen just doesn't have the same mobility to match that pace out of the set. Fatal Ghost and Delnyy get slightly separated as a result, and that makes it easier for Sanguine's carries to pick them apart. Keegan, on the other hand, I like this Habois on paper, but he's got to clean it up around the edges because this is looking rough right now.
I agree. 3-2-0 is not the worst slash line. Sort of side note, what's your take on Chronos Pendant, Hebo? It's full CDR for what's
unnecessary.
worth. That's kind of my thought as well. I'd rather just see pure power, you know? Low cooldowns already. Not going to be the case, though. Obsidian Shard, necessary. Pyromancer goes the way of Sanguine. They'll find themselves tied one more time at 24-24.
I just don't even really understand what the purpose of rushing so much CDR on Habois is. He's got some of the lowest cooldowns in the game. If you just pack power into your abilities instead,
Yep.
you won't have to worry about having 10 abilities to fire at once if you just land the one that does 1k damage.
80% scaling, and you can see 75% scaling. Ultimate, 115% scaling.
He's just crippling himself. This is Keegan handicapping himself, but can't say that a lot of his Hunter builds haven't been questionable at best. Either way, Blanche Fan Club still doing their best to try and power through. IAmTheHamster and Fatal Ghost gonna swarm around the backside with Jangaru and Delnyy, but JTask mostly out of there. Blanche Fan Club
Ooh.
not super interested in keeping the fight going.
Sanguine, though, on the other hand, has different plans. Hamster going to be attacked by Truancii, and Charter Prime blinks over the wall and will open the door to take down Hamster. Charter Prime now in the ultimate, looking for the next target.
4 members still left, though, from Blanche, and Sanguine seem a little bit torn here as to what to do next. Fire Giant?
They looked like they wanted that tier 2, and then they just stopped.
They didn't have a wave. Maybe not willing to tank up, but this Fire Giant is dangerous because objective confirmation is something a Habois can certainly do.
Yeah, Fatal Ghost can do it too. He's going to be coming around the side, and it's all going to be Sanguine, so no steal. But there's a double taunt on the Blanche Fan Club. Fatal Ghost on the back line gets a ton of damage put on him, and Hebo's able to use the ultimate. Does hit players, but it's defensively, and he ultimately falls down. Sanguine now chasing out Delnyy. Here's going to be one more shot. Number 11 for Sanguine. 2 players dead. It's the Outsiders. And so, Sanguine will stick to mid.
Delnyy knew he was toast, just tried to find an exchange kill onto BMBobby since that's probably Sanguine's best tower push outside of Truancii. And taking out an Olorun means maybe we don't have to worry about a Sanctified Field on at least one of these Phoenix's siege, but with 2 members being dead, Blanche Fan Club don't seem all that interested in trying to stop this mid Firebird from going down.
Yeah, it's going to go down real quick. Sanguine will fall back. Ping coming out left lane seems to be the target.
Rather lose the Phoenix in the game.
Agreed.
It's a good mentality from Blanche Fan Club. Cut your losses short sometimes, and as much as they might hurt in the moment, it's not to say that Blanche Fan Club couldn't recover. Even now, I still think that it's as crazy as it might sound.
I mean, they're only
Blanche
down
Fan
8K.
Club just gets their burst damage off,
Yeah,
they'll be fine.
I'm with you.
Keegan's just been really pressured out, and between kind of handicapping his own damage and just having a non-stop swarm of Sanguine members on top of him because they know that Habois is a massive threat. So both sides doing what they can. I'm definitely a big fan, though, the way that Sanguine has handled a lot of these team fights, sending in StRyDEr as that sacrificial lamb in a sense.
Yeah, StRyDEr has kind of always gone in. That's why he has the ultimate, you know, and all of a sudden the pick starts to make sense. He's there to kind of be the loot pinata, get into the cloud before he can die, and then his team kind of responds after that. So it all starts to make sense here. All starts to line up and make some sense. The grouping up around the Gold Fury is the target.
Phoenixes might be the best bet here, though, for Blanche in terms of a comeback, because despite the fact that mid-Phoenix is down, it's kind of tough for anyone from Sanguine to actually be able to play through that mid lane, because oftentimes you'll see an enemy team, if they get a mid-Phoenix, they'll send like a Thor or even a Mercury or something, where they can play with gank possibilities off of that stripped Phoenix side. But for Blanche, that's not really as much of a threat. Truancii, probably your biggest threat, maybe DoctorL, but both of those guys are going to want to be with the core of the team, and that's why it's just a 5-man grouping, and that's why, for Blanche, this might just be best, because they're just looking for the 5v5 firepower.
Keegan likes it if people are going to be grouped up. They can just, he can go for the ultimate and hit multiple players with it, perhaps. Jangaru is going to make much better use of her kit here grouped up than if she was by herself. I'm right on board.
It's tough to commit here, though, for Sanguine. They know what kind of firepower Blanche is bringing to the engagement. Jangaru, in a world of his own in mid, though, trying to clear out these fire minions while StRyDER's trying to just draw some attention.
That's his job. You know, I mean, as a Sun Wukong, you're there to go knock players up, be in the middle of the team, just distract. I mean, here he is just distracting. Right side, he's got 2 players with him, and that's going to force the 5-on-3 power play. Sanguine dropped the sanctified field, and there's the frenzy from the other side. Olorun ultimate now down, and BMBobby going to be the target of Delnyy. Keegan comes through. 1 for Keegan, 1 for Delnyy, 1 for Fatal Ghost. StRyDEr Prime on the retreat, pops into the ultimate. JTask hits all 3 with his, but he's surrounded, pounded, and soon to be grounded. Keegan ties it up with kill number 11. Taco, players are out for 40+ seconds, but there's too many towers up.
There's so many towers up right now. Even if Blanche were to run it down mid and take the T2 and the Phoenix, which I don't think is possible with the current respawn timers of Sanguine, it still wouldn't be enough to try and look to close out the game. But it's a start for Blanche, for sure. They're going to get their mid Phoenix up, have a possibility as well at contesting this next Fire Giant. An enhanced Fire Giant could definitely be the tipping edge here for Blanche if they're able to confirm it. So far, Sanguine has pretty much taken control of the objective game, largely due to the fact that they keep staggering those respawn timers from Blanche surrounding those objectives. But Blanche now, not in the driver's seat, but they're definitely doing better than what Sanguine were probably expecting. That was a lot of burst from Keegan on that left side, and it's because Sanguine just lined up.
Yeah.
You've got to be careful with the way that you position on these Phoenix Sieges, but there's not a whole lot of room to work with there. That's the problem for Sanguine at the same time.
And that's why I think BMBobby, the Olorun sanctified field, is so important. But Sanguine kind of mispositioned it 2 times ago, put it in a weird place, and then
well, they wanted to just take the Phoenix, so they used a sanctified field to zone out all of Blanche. But
Right.
without it,
Yeah, you know, that one I was fine with. It was the 2 fights ago was in like this weird haphazard spot while they were walking up. On the Phoenix, it was perfect, and that's what we want to see more of, fighting around these objectives. Right side, Blanche looking for the entryway. Keegan playing it safe. Crits against Jangaru are good. IAmTheHamster blinks to the back line, identifies BMBobby. Ultimate rolls out, but Bobby goes down already. Now Truancii on the backside trying to find Jangaru. He won't, but Truancii will go down to the hand of Delnyy. 2v2 on the bottom, and a 3v1. No, he's gone. Fatal Ghost again. Fights back, bites back. They did this twice in a row now here, Taco. First, they were able to wipe, and now they're able to get 3. And look at the Fire Giant.
Pyromancer going to be pulled first of all, though. JTask still lurking on this Osiris, and it's a little bit too much to deal with when also trying to juggle an enhanced Fire Giant at the same time. So Blanche take down that Pyromancer and give their teammates a chance to regen those HP bars back at base, spend up some of that gold as well that was just acquired from a pretty convincing teamfight win, if you ask me. And that all starts with IAmTheHamster. He has done a phenomenal job at creating space for Blanche's carries to perform in.
Every time. Blanche's carries, Keegan is all the way in the back, just kind of doing nothing. And then when he finds his opportunity, he's able to go up, walk, hit him with the water hands, which that's the problem with Hebo. Incredibly close range.
Nothing wrong with having a support that serves you up kills on a silver platter.
Thank you.
If IAmTheHamster can keep doing it every single time with these epic uppercuts, BMBobby, Truancii, they've got to be on the lookout now, because you have to factor in, IAmTheHamster has a blink. He's also got that upgraded frenzy, and the damage was already pretty severe. Even with Keegan having, I think, a little bit of a questionable build, it's kind of been sorted out now. Soul Reaver, E-Staff, decent pickups.
Gold Fury, Oni Fury, starting here by Sanguine, half HP. BLNCH fan club on the outskirts of town. They won't be able to make it in time. JTask, tasked with keeping the players at bay.
Normally, I would wonder where Blanche is at, but that left side Phoenix should have all the answers for anybody else who might have been wondering. Blanche wanted that Firebird to be up and running, and effectively up and running without fire minion waves to later threaten it. Jangaru also going to look to push out that left side even further. This could be dangerous having the Nike on the opposite side of the map now, because Sanguine are all over this enhanced fire giant.
Yeah, here comes Delnyy, and it's going to be all about Bobby's ultimate as well, on top of the fire giant, who's also slowed, mind you. All of a sudden, Bobby's going to pick up one. Delny's on a tear, though. Truancii stops Delnyy, and that's a huge kill here, Taco. Fatal Ghost turns it around and puts down Truancii. It's now a back and forth, 2 for 1. Blanche with the upper hand.
Fatal Ghost just trying to turn it around, though, using these hives, all that honey for the slows. IAmTheHamster also trying to do what he can as far as measures, but Jangaru's had so much time that he's now regrouped with the rest of BLNCH fan club. JTask looking to fall down next.
That was outrageous. I don't know why we still saw... I thought DoctorL could have been out. JTask and DoctorL died one more time.
DoctorL's got to commit with the team. His team is stuck in a team fight that they probably don't want to be in. But that Defender of Olympus was the best bet for trying to help bring down Fatal Ghost. JTask just could not find the in-hands that he needed and could not stick to that Muzen Cobb.
It's been tough, you know. When I see the Osiris in this sort of composition, I usually expect a little bit more. I mean, especially against the AMC.
Well, normally that works if you're in a 1v1 scenario, but
sure,
that has not been the case for some time now.
Ain't no duel.
Blanche has just been responding really well to Sanguine, and Sanguine might have bit off more than they could chew starting that Fire Giant when they did.
Well, here's Fire Giant. Just trying to prime a little bit too late. The ultimate will come through. There's the dash, and Hamster walks away, no problem. Easy. Easy for BLNCH fan club. Really didn't think about it too much. Just walked in. Took the present. Walked out.
But now, BLNCH has to go through a little bit of frustrations. Still 3 T2 towers left on the board to be taken care of. And again, that is 4,500 gold to deposit to the team's bank. And with that type of money, I thought, you can expect these builds to certainly be rounded off. Some relics to be finalized in their upgrades, possible for even some 6 items to pay their visit. Either way, though, Sanguine are definitely on the back foot now after having been in control for 20-something minutes.
Yeah, now above the half-hour mark. We're still only really separated by about 2,000 gold here, Taco. 1,500 gold, 12,500 experience on either side. That's the interesting part, is that Sanguine are leading in the gold department, but BLNCH are actually leading the experience department. Now the experience irrelevant at this point. Everybody's level 20, but an illustrative fact to kind of show how this one has been going. Kind of swings in both directions. The picking up of camps, going to both teams, etc.
And I can't help but wonder if maybe it might have just been better suited for JTask to look for a different relic as opposed to that Thorns. Normally, I'm a big fan of the Thorns on an Osiris,
right,
but he just has not been able to get into that 1v1 situation with Fatal Ghost, and the relic has felt detrimental for survivability over anything else because BLNCH have just been playing around each other as a unit, and most of their burst damage is going to come from abilities, not from frequent in-hands, and Muzen Cobb as well. Just judging by the build alone, Fatal Ghost is trying to play around that Stinger pretty heavily.
Definitely trying to look for it. You know, he's got a whole bunch of CDR, and he's got the Rune Forge, which is going to make him do extra damage on player that's crippled or slow.
BMBobby, I think, has been getting the worst of it as IAmTheHamster continues to harass the backline. Truancii already going to lose those purification beads rather early on. Good water spout onto StRyDEr Prime to get some decent poke damage there from Keegan. But this is looking a little bit dicey here for Sanguine on that left-hand side.
And we're looking at Blanche do the 1-4 split. Jangaru is on the right side. He's going to shift over to the left. Jacob, you're trying to fight. Meanwhile, Delnyy diving Truancii. That's a big play. Now Delny's surrounded by 3. If Sanguine get him down, that's how they win, but that's a big if. Kumbhakarna and everyone else gonna notch one down. Jacob goes down as well. And Blanche fan club, take care of business. Deicide at the end of the game. And just shy of 40, Blanche bring it home.
And as far as the ending is concerned, I know it's a little bit anticlimactic here to kind of just watch Blanche steamroll over Sanguine, but that was a big problem between these two compositions. All that Sanguine were really relying on to come out on top in a lot of those jungle skirmishes was the jungle structures themselves. It was causing a lot of problems, I think, for Keegan initially, but as soon as Blanche Fan Club started playing a little bit more babysitter in mind towards their back line, that was when we really saw kind of the breakdown of Sanguine.
I liked the global strategy that we saw kind of brought there, double globals, kind of jump, and we saw the first blood go that way. The rest of the game just didn't.
They weren't able to maintain the same momentum with that triple ult composition, and it's awesome for the first 15 minutes or so, but eventually Blanche Fan Club were able to wisen up and just not leave themselves in positions to where they could get punished in that manner.
Well, 1 down and a couple to go. We will see how it concludes or if it'll continue. We'll be right back after this.
The SMITE Console League is brought to you by Titan Forge Games, the developers of SMITE.
And we're back with the SMITE Console League. Hope you all enjoyed that short break because we're getting right back into it. We got to break down that big game that we just saw go the way of Blanche Fan Club. If you left halfway through, you might have thought that one was Sanguine, but they could not hold on. Ryan Agro-Bailey is right here next to me. And Ryan, what'd you see happen there in that game?
I mean, the frontline presence was there early game for Sanguine. The Osiris and Wukong, the Wukong jungle, you expected to do well in that stage. Ultimately, though, it's going to end up falling off. You don't have that true assassin. Even though there was a jungle on the other side for BFC as well, we had that set in the solo lane that in the late game, Delnyy played a lot like an assassin, and so their composition was much more well-balanced.
I think so, too. I mean, Blanche Fan Club, we kind of knew going in that there was maybe some questions about the composition that Sanguine had for them, but it looked for a while like they were quelling those fears that we had, right? They were making this composition work. Bobby had a little bit of trouble, I thought, in the early game on this Olorun, but because he got some backup, was able to get it online. But eventually, man, Habwa, set, they start doing the things.
They sure do. And when your jungler's only providing 17,000 damage and unable to frontline quite as well as this Nike can in the late game, sure, StRyDEr Prime takes more damage, mitigates more damage, but effectively is dying much more easily than Jangaru. It's just not going to end up working out for you. I think the Sunder pickup for DoctorL at level 1 makes sense. Your composition is going to lack damage with that sort of setup, so you're trying to kind of wipe away that problem with that upgraded Sunder, and the idea is sound, execution just wasn't there.
Yes, I agree with you on that one, at least in terms of the relics and maybe making that whole competition work through. So now it's back to the drawing board here for Sanguine. And what's interesting is I don't think that they kind of have to play this way. I understand that when you play with StRyDEr Prime, that's not who they normally have. I believe they normally are with Kumquat, and StRyDEr Prime was in there for them this time. Maybe you have to make some adjustments to the way that you play in your drafts in that sense, but hopefully they can make that work from them better in Game 2.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a lot of very positive things from them in that game. So it's not like it was a complete
they were ahead
blowout.
at the beginning. Yeah.
Exactly. They did well. Even with the really bad Olorun laning phase, that's just the character has a bad laning phase.
Right.
Still, Bobby's able to get out of it. You just need to see a little bit more from the whole team. I think that the composition didn't quite work as well as they were hoping.
Well, this Morgan pick might be a little bit more than a throwaway ban here if they're going to go back to it twice in a row. Clearly, they're worried about Blanche fan club piloting this one quite well. The Zhonghui ban on the other side, though, that's just straight up meta. We don't want to have to deal with Zhonghui. Just about anybody on Zhonghui is scary to me at this point.
Yeah, just getting a lot of farm on Zhonghui and being like level 17 when everyone else level like 13 or 14, you get all that protection because of your kid, and you still do a lot of damage.
Well, okay, so he does. Okay.
Yeah, he does all those things. Yeah, really, really well. So
I was just thinking, there's no way he could be all tanky or that tanky and do that much damage.
Oh, he can.
But at least
And
it's just
he
like
does.
focusing on like one dude, right? He only can like hit like one person with all his damage.
No. You see, you press Y, and then it hits everyone.
Oh, so it's like a big circle sort of.
Really big.
Damage and hits
Like
multiple.
really big.
people
And he's got like
chases
a
down.
long stun.
Right, that's good too. Yeah.
His one's on like an absurdly low cooldown.
He doesn't heal though, right? Like
Well, he
can't,
does
like-
actually. Yeah,
Oh.
he does. So you can't poke him out in lane because he has more prots than you, and
Does more damage
and
than
he
you.
heals.
Yeah.
Oh, and as a magical character, he has better hybrid items than you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Pythagoras Piece, potentially Ethereal Staff. Yeah, all these.
Yeah,
items that
Dynasty
feel
Blade
really
Helm.
good. Yeah, Jump Isolation potentially for HP.
All those are good.
Good point. So yeah, Zhonghui's good. I think we did a nice little sermon on why Zhonghui should be banned and/or picked, if available. Sanguine going to pick Chernobog with their first pick, and Chernobog is one that's kind of risen up, I feel like, a little bit in terms of value, but I'm seeing the head shake, not to first pick value, I say.
You got it third last time.
Right.
Blanche is not going to first pick it, though. Blanche apparently really loved what they saw out of that Wukong, so they're like, give me some of that.
They're like, yeah, let us have some of Wukong, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's my problem. Sanguine gets first pick because they lost that game, right? So they had the choice. If you don't know what you want to first pick, which is what Chernobog first pick tells me, take second pick. Because you're
Right.
not taking anything away from Blanche Fan Club either. It's not like you're taking something that's priority. I guess if you told me their first three picks were Chernobog, Erlang, Shen, Jormungandr, don't tell me the order. I go, okay, they first picked Erlang or Jorm, and I'm okay with it. So.
This is weird, though. If you want Erlang and Jormungandr, I do think that you should first pick one of them, right? I imagine. Like
not if Blanche Fan Club's going to have their finger slip and pick Wukong by accident, right? Like, I guess we're
it
fine.
worked out, right? I mean, I suppose it did. Anhur does come through for Blanche Fan Club as well, so things do return to some of that normalcy that you're used to if you've been following here in Phase 2. This Anhur could go middle lane. I imagine that's where you like him a lot because he's able to get pressure there, but could go long lane as well,
Flexible.
though mid is where I would like him.
Flexible for sure. It just has the option. Basically, Keeg's big dual player. Every dual player legally has to be good at Anhur, so just give him the pick and let him go to work.
No, Anhur's the fair duel. If you're really a duel man, you like to play the OP busted stuff.
Well, yeah, but like you also have to be good at the fair stuff. You know
Okay,
what
I guess
mean? Like,
you do.
But yes, you have to have Hell in the God Pool,
Yeah, there we go.
Chronos, Hou-Yi,
Yeah.
Anhur.
Some
those are all-
Arachne, she can be pretty good in that
Probably,
1v1,
yeah. I don't know. I've played exactly like 15 games of Duel.
Your boy used to be
my
a dual mage,
entire
you know
time.
that? Yeah.
Really?
Because I didn't have any friends to play Smite with. This got actually sad.
Yeah.
So I just did dual, and I was in high diamond for a little bit.
That should be in your Twitter bio. This just got accidentally sad.
sad, yeah.
That would describe a lot.
Yeah, that's par for the course when you're hanging out there with some Fench. Fafnir comes in as well for Blanche, which makes some sense when you have the set and the Anhur on there. It can be some good control. I am a huge fan of Dragonic Corruption Fafnir and less of a fan of Dwarf Fafnir, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, he's good in dwarf form.
He's
just not
okay in Dwarf. I don't even know if
as
I'd give him good.
He's got a stun, coerce.
That's kind of hard to hit.
Yeah. I mean, just hit it. I don't know.
Yeah, get good. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah,
Just
I
get
don't
better
know.
at the game.
I don't know what to tell you,
I'm just
man.
saying, how is it? Amir freeze you cannot miss. Athena taunt you
I can.
cannot miss. Well,
I'm
that's because it's
terrible
weird
in
when it
Ymir.
gets close. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm terrible. in Ymir. I guarantee you I have very similar hit rates on Ymir Freeze to Fafnir Hammer.
That shouldn't be. That's not correct.
I don't know what to tell you.
Vulcan and Xing come through because they didn't have enough magic damage with this Jormungandr, and so they add quite a bit onto the squad. But Blanche Fan Club used that 10th pick to add a healer here to the competition. Could be strong.
Could be. A lot of all over the place for Blanche Fan Club. I don't know how much I love their comp.
yeah, these compositions, we'll see how they end up working once they actually get into practice. Sanguine up against BFC. We'll get it to the casters.
Man, I hope the Sun Wukong is jungle. What do you think, Taco? It is! Jangaru saw what StRyDEr Prime did last game. And to quote Aggro said, man, let me give me some of that.
A little bit of switch-ups for both of these teams. BMBobby also going to be back on the traditional hunter, but something that I found interesting that Aggro brings up, Tom, that I also find myself agreeing with pretty heavily.
What's up, bud?
First pick Chernobog just seems odd. Just
yeah.
go for the second pick.
I'm there as well. But also, you know, man, we're just sitting here quoting Aggro. Aggro, just come in here and do it yourself.
Oh my god, yeah, Aggro should actually just come take over for me because he also does chair 2 work, and he was bringing up some fantastic analytical insight there.
I don't know, I think he's got great presence in the chair 1, but what I was bringing up was
rock, paper,
man,
scissors?
You got in my head, Taco. I don't. No, the fact that after, you know, just shake it up. Let's pretend that Erlang Shen was first pick. Sure, I'm fine with the composition. I think the science of the picks and bans, if I'm coaching this team, we got something to talk about, but you got a good team. How you got there is a different story. That's why I'm not a math teacher. Sanguine's going to start things off with what I believe to be one of the strongest junglers in the game, Erlang Shen. And across the way, somebody else. StRyDEr Prime misses the knockup, and that'll be a walk away.
It's the walk of shame away for StRyDEr Prime on that one. IAmTheHamster, though, great job with that positioning. Instantly jumps back to get the disarm going for the Erlang, so StRyDEr can't even look for in-hands against Keegan for further poke. Does cost the Chang'e beads, however, so it's not like Keegan is completely out of the woods just yet. There's always the chance that StRyDEr looks to revisit the dual lane before that 2 minutes is up for Keegan's cooldown timer.
Gotta look at that one the whole time. But at the end of the day, as I was saying, I love Erlang. I think he's the best damn jungler in the game right now. He kind of does it all. He can get in, get out, early game, mid game, late game. He's got a taunt. I mean, he really does bring in everything. Jangaru on the Sun Wukong, not so much. Not a terrible jungler. I brought up some of the reasons that he can kind of do work, but certainly no Erlang.
I like it for the peel aspects, though, because one thing that Keegan definitely struggled with in Game 1 was getting focused pretty heavily by Sanguine, and Jangaru is going to be able to bring a lot of front and backline presence. He kind of just gets his pick of the bundle here, because Delnyy is who I would anticipate to be the designated backline attacker there for Blanche, but I just like the thought process that Jangaru can either look to assist IAmTheHamster with peel or just look to be aggressive in his own right. Erlang Shen is pretty nuts, though.
Yeah, he is.
It is. It's kind of tough to.
Erlang Shen.
Oh my God, it's not him.
Sounded like him though.
No,
Yeah, it did.
a little bit higher pitch.
Erlang Shen.
See, you lost it on that last note.
Yeah.
The Shen got a little bit too deep there, and
It's been a long weekend. My voice gets deeper the more that I use it, and so you know we can't. It's just been a while, and so.
are you sure that's the reason why your voice is getting deeper?
I think so. What? Where are you going?
I'll let you think about that one.
No.
For now, I want to talk about Delnyy. He's getting pressured out hard.
Go ahead. Give us your analysis on Delnyy, Taco.
JTask on the Jormungandr. Well, he's like 3 times Delny's height. And Delnyy is typically known as a 6-foot monster himself.
Oh,
But
yeah.
in this matchup, he's 5'11".
Yeah, that's a different beast. Delny's a tall guy. Four minutes in.
We need Caster Cam back.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Oh, man. But you're right. It is 4.5 minutes in.
So, Blanche fan club. This Sun Wukong jungle is definitely kind of like a stunt, but will it really hurt them is my question, because Delnyy on the set was phenomenal towards the later stages of the game. That's how we found ourselves in the spot to see BFC take the victory home. And Keegan on the Hebo was effective, kind of did the job. At the end of the day, playing Hebo, you're just rooting for that one. But now he's on the Chang'e, so Delny's going to reprise the role as a set and still bring what he did last time, theoretically. But Keegan, a very different character.
It's just so unfortunate for Delnyy that instead of being against an Osiris that he can reasonably look to engage with in that 1v1 over in solo, not the same case whatsoever with JTask on that Jormungandr now. Jorm's just too deadly to try and mess with. Fatal Ghost might learn a thing or two about actually becoming a ghost if he's not able to get out of this one.
Nice try there. Fatal Ghost does avoid the first round of damage, but here comes the second. DoctorL with first blood out of the Xing, and that's going to be it. I don't know if you saw the first attempt there, Taco. Xing goes in, finds somebody. We'll talk about it in a moment, because Bobby is in trouble here. Trying to find a way out, up north, down south, still gets hit by the Wukong nonsense, but no Jingle Bang after the fact. And BMBobby should be golden, and he will be getting on out of there. First blood for Sanguine, and that's it.
A good push back from Sanguine as well to help bail Bobby out of that one. Because that jungle path thing was a little bit all over the place there for the Chernobog. Luckily he ran into the decoy, and not the actual Jangaru on that Wukong, but
it was kind of fun. Fatal Ghost was the one targeted. And the first time, DoctorL went in, blinked, and tried to get the root. And that's why Fatal Ghost beads, because there was a Vulcan ult just headed right there. So he got away from Act 1. But then Act 2 was right to follow.
a lot of chase for Sanguine with this current composition. Between DoctorL, StRyDEr, and JTask, it's going to be tough for Fatal Ghost and Keegan to consistently escape. They've definitely got to be a little bit more dependent, again, on their burst damage as the countermeasure here for Sanguine's spam of initiations. But I do like the way that Fatal Ghost tried to play that. Probably did the best that he possibly could, given the situation. It's just so annoying when you're actually trying to get away from that Xing 10.
So you're talking about burst. I mean, trading out the Hebo for the Chang'e?
Oh yeah, that's some nasty damage. I'm looking at the Waxing Moon because Sanguine need their comp to all be grouped up together for it to work best. And that's exactly what Chang'e wants in a Waxing Moon, to get the furthest stun duration.
What an interesting way that ability works. It's gonna stun for 1 second, and everybody you stun after that gets stunned an additional second per player stunned. So if you hit 3 players, let's say me, you, and Tolly are standing in the line, you're in first, you get hit.
I can't be in this discussion. I would never get hit.
All right. Taco dodges it. I get hit. I'm stunned for 1 second. Tolly gets hit behind me. He's stunned for 2 seconds. Taco then.
No, aggro's behind Tolly and would definitely get hit by that ability.
But then what Taco does is she jumps with both her daggers out like a crazy flying otter. What was your name?
Tagara.
Tagara.
It's
there
from
it is.
book series.
Oh, man.
The Redwall series. Shoutouts to Brian Jock.
Also,
Might have messed up his last name, but that's not what's important. What's important is Jangaru trying to escape with that 72 transformations,
Oof.
and the Ox form will get him out for the moment. But Sanguine are definitely not happy with that game 1 loss.
that's the second time they've tried the old Vulcan combination. You gotta love to see it. You gotta love to see it. Anytime Vulcan comes out, it's interesting to watch, because Vulcan players tend to be Vulcan specialists. And so I really like to see combinations with the squads. 2 to 3 in this team fight, should it happen, but it won't. StRyDEr Prime walks right, and Xing walks left, and Blanche fan club will just walk back into their own base.
I like what Sanguine's been doing so far, though, trying to take advantage of their early game potential off of this Erlang Shen. And StRyDEr and Truancii have definitely been turning the dial up here for Blanche, and Blanche has not had an easy time looking for responses either. They've just been so focused in on trying to just acquire the farm necessary so that once their itemization starts to come online, that's where we'll really start to see this Anhur Chang'e pairing begin to surface.
So in this mid game, I'm looking at Jangaru to kind of do what the past Sun Wukong players haven't, you know? Mid-game monster. I mean, if you're going to play Sun Wukong in the jungle, you've got to be looking for some sort of mid-game prowess. Your early game isn't really there. Maybe if you get a cheeky knock-up, you can actually make some sort of combination. And your late game, I mean, that's why people don't really tend to build offensive Sun Wukong. But in the middle of the game, not right now, as Truancii's kind of spanking him in the face, but in the middle of the game, when you build boots into Jotuns or whatever mace this is going to be, into whatever third item you want it to be, that's when you can start stomping people. We didn't see it at all from StRyDEr Prime.
Hoping that it's a Brawlers, but it's a Crusher as Jangaru's item of choice. Gold Fury, though, going to be pulled. Truancii with that Earthshaker looking for the confirmation, but a soft reset for the moment. DoctorL already down to half health, but it's a collapse onto Fatal Ghost instead.
Keegan's here as well, not going to find damage with the one. Fatal Ghost tries to escape. Truancii does damage. Still not a kill. 3 almosts. Just wait till he gets his money. StRyDEr Prime deleted. And the hamster puts Blanche on the map. DoctorL now surrounded by 3-4 different players. Truancii, though, is the one that takes down the support. And that be that. The 2-1 overall, 1-for-1 in that team fight. And IAmTheHamster versus StRyDEr Prime.
That Vulcan damage, a little bit unexpected there, I think, in the eyes of Blanche fan club. IAmTheHamster was full-on face tanking that turret for quite some time and just could not last. That's really the simplicity of it, but that's another reason why I'm a pretty big fan of this Vulcan pick here for Truancii.
Right.
I think that he's been positioning wisely with it as well, and it's going to be a lot more difficult for Jangaru or even Delnyy to try and stick to this Vulcan when he's got those meatballs to displace him. And Delny's got his own fair share of problems happening in Solo Lane right now since he's got a visit from DoctorL.
But he's level 12. I mean, he just walks away. Fatal Ghost here, pops the ultimate, trying to invade onto the enemy red. Truancii walks away, and that's a good look there. You were just talking nicely about the Vulcan, and I kind of gave a backhanded compliment. I said, that's 3 almost. Truancii is nailing these ultimates. He's finding the targets, but they're just 100 damage short, 200 damage short.
For now.
Exactly. And that's why, you know, it's about hitting the target, because you'll buy the items later. He only has boots.
Scare tactics as well. You know that Truancii is going to land them, so don't try to take any risk in the process. And
yeah.
But Truancii without that Earthshaker is also a little bit risky in its own right, as Delnyy gets ganked one more time. This time it's StRyDEr on the opposite end of that. Beads to clear the slow off of JTask, and a Sand Clone teleport will get him out of there for now, but World Serpent still looking to give chase.
Delnyy still finds a way out. Man, you get hit by a knockup, a root, a taunt.
Meanwhile, your team is on the Gold Fury, as they should be when 3 different members try to gank your solo laner.
Beautiful play by Blanche. Fan club. Sanguine go for it, but they can't get it. That is textbook SMITE. Whirlwind of Rage and Steel will wrap up Jangaru. Blinks away. Should be a disengage, and it will be. So Blanche fan club tie the game up one more time. 500 gold lead. Sure. But a nice play on the objective.
A series of misplays, however, for Sanguine, and that's about as punishing as it could possibly get. I understand wanting to try and gank Delnyy, shut this set down before he becomes a serious threat for your carries. But at the same time, you've got to make sure you've got better vision over that Gold Fury first. Sanguine were just so exposed on the opposite side of the map, it gave more than enough time for Blanche to pull the Gold Fury, assess the situation as to whether or not they could fully commit to it, and then once they realized that, hey, this is a freebie, Sanguine still looked to pick up the pieces after the fact, but there's nothing left to collect. Their best bet was trying to pick Jangaru mid lane, but StRyDEr pin being off the mark with his Erlang pin from DoctorL's ultimate. Those are the kinds of crowd controls you've got to sync.
Yeah, you've got to find that. That's the communication that we talk about at a higher level of play. You got to know your, I sit up here and I clap in players' face. Know your matchup. Understand how it goes 1-to-1. Know your DRs as well. There are fundamentals in SMITE that you have to understand, and you can let the root go at the end because Root's on a whole separate DR, and you can put your knockups at the end because knockups are on a whole separate DR. You never want to overlap, and you never want to DR. You never want to Root before stun or et cetera, et cetera. So get these in your brain. And a lot of times, what happens is what you want to do with your team. You don't want to just in the moment hope it gets right. When you have a composition that you're going to, have the set order. Be like, all right, if we're gonna play Athena into Anhur often, taunt into Impale every time.
But with all that being said, the facts still remain the same. Blanche fan club, they're not out in the lead and don't really have too much of an advantage anywhere outside of the experience departments. But that's not to say that Sanguine are completely out of this just yet. It's more so just that Blanche are in control of the pacing. And for Sanguine to have such an early game oriented draft, it is a little bit concerning to see Blanche still managing to keep up.
It definitely is. You know, that's where you've got to ask yourself the question, what do they do to find the little answers? And that's where you look for the invades, you look for the maybe picks. Mid lane though, a ping comes out. So everybody knows where the Anhur is. StRyDEr Prime gets blinked on, stunned by the Sun Wukong jungle, ultimate out of Fatal Ghost, and 3 players get an assist onto the kill of StRyDEr Prime. Same team, Blanche fan club in the enemy jungle looking for the blue buff invade. Looks like Jangaru was able to grab it. Truancii from a distance, gonna hit a couple of players, but nothing of consequence. Now the hamster trying to escape. Xing will push out, and that's that.
Just beating on tanks right now. A nice stun as well from IAmTheHamster is going to slow down all 3 members of Sanguine that are on that right-hand side of the map. Keegan, on the other hand, nearly soloing BMBobby in the process of all that aggression happening on the outside of the map. And this is where it starts to become real troublesome if you're Sanguine, Tom, because it's one thing to lose your blue buff and your jungler. It's another thing entirely for Delnyy when he sticks around underneath his tower just a hair too long.
Trusted in the Kingslinger, didn't come through. Double knockup, this should be the disengage from Sanguine. I get the idea from Delnyy, he's saying, you know, get my heal, etc., but it did not, you know, didn't work out. So he goes down the 2v1. StRyDEr Prime a little mad at what happened earlier on. Taunts Fatal Ghost, and yeah, that was...
He got disoriented. the Ninth Turn's Blessing pulls him.
Yeah.
And Fatal Ghost was looking for the beads into an immediate jump away, but when your camera has been turned, sometimes that jump away is actually a jump forward into certain death.
That's one of those, man, that...
Good play by StRyDEr.
Yeah, no, it was a great StRyDEr Prime play. That's one of those, I always say, you know, in order to commentate, you obviously don't need to play at a high level, but you do have to play the game to a certain extent because there are feels things. That's one where, like, yeah, we all done that.
We were starting to gas Blanche up too much, though, for the way that they were playing, because they were doing everything perfectly.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Sure enough, a little bit of, I don't want to say overconfidence just yet, but recklessness for sure out of Delnyy, Fatal Ghost, small punishes that Sanguine are able to pick up and capitalize off of that have now stalemated things one more time.
We did get a chance to see what Jangaru could do with the Jungle Sun Wukong. You know, the big stun setup was nice. I'll take it. I'm well aware that there's many characters in the jungle stun. But he's the king of the monkeys.
If you want him to be.
Primal Fury down to 90%. Blanche fan club knocked up a little bit. Truancii has some of the best secure in the game. JTask off into zone. Sanguine go ahead and secure it, but what about after the fact? Fatal Ghost puts down StRyDEr Prime, and DoctorL goes down to Delnyy. Trouble for the Jormungandr, can't get underground. Jangaru with the fantastic play on the jungle. Sun Wukong, Taco, he's king of the monkeys.
Blanche fan club not even going to bother with this T1 tower. They've got their eyes set on this Fire Giant instead. They know Truancii doesn't have that Earthshaker to try and intervene. And with that coerce buff around the entirety of Blanche's carries, it's going to be tough for BMBobby to try and do anything about it. Living Nightmare straight into the middle of that Fire Giant pool, but Fatal Ghost is going to jump out and take BMBobby out as Fire Giant still half health. And Truancii can't even get close.
Yeah, he's got to walk away. The fact that his ultimate is still down is a big deal. That means this Fire Giant is free 53. Blanche Fan Club take the Fire Giant and take the first real lead of the set. 2,000 gold in the lead here for BFC. The experience showing a similar number after Pyromancer, closer to 3,000 for Blanche. And again, the experience 5,300.
Pyromancer, because why not? Blue buff, why not? Blanche Fan Club are just taking everything that they can get their hands on right now, and that includes the lives of Sanguine members that are fearless enough to try and show up. I'm a little bit surprised that Sanguine would even bother at looking at trying to steal that Fire Giant, but at the same time, BMBobby doesn't really lose a whole lot in the process. Respawns before Blanche Fan Club even begins their real pushes into the T2 tower territory, so for right now, all Sanguine can really do is wait and see where Blanche Fan Club heads next.
It's going to be the middle lane. I wanted to talk about that itemization, but Blanche like, nah, B. Thankfully, Sanguine aren't really taking the fight. I don't think they wanted to take the tier 1. The tier 2 they can. But Jangaru on the flank side. StRyDEr Prime is on the left in case he wants to make something happen. Halfway done, Delnyy goes in. There's the frenzy on the other side. Jangaru finds Truancii, forces out the relics, and elevate DoctorL is unelevated. Jangaru gets another kill on a Truancii. StRyDEr Prime goes down. The tower still stands as JTask finds an answer back. Nice play there from Jacob. He's had a fine day. Unfortunately, on the wrong side of the teams. 3 players surrounding the snake. That's got to be enough, right?
You would think so, but with BMBobby now coming back into play, keep in mind though, Delnyy never really left, just got stuck inside of enemy territory. BMBobby gonna lose that. Aegis now still on the retreat. JTask gonna also get pulled away from that T2 tower, so even without Fatal Ghost, Blanche Fan Club are still able to find the objectives that count. A good pushback from Sanguine, but still just not enough to fully shut down Blanche in the process.
Again, JTask has been really integral. He's the reason why Sanguine are still in this, I feel like. 1-1-1 doesn't really do it justice. I think he's really been playing very, very well. He's zoned when he's needed to. He's done his job. Unfortunately, it's a team game, and his squad has not provided the same level of play that Jacob has really brought to the table. That hurts sometimes.
I don't think it's Sanguine being incapable either.
I agree.
It's really just Blanche has just been doing everything better.
Yeah.
That's really all it boils down to for me. And not only that, but Delnyy and Jangaru have done such a solid job at just making life as easy as possible for Fatal Ghost, IAmTheHamster, and Keegan. That JTask is real. Only thing he can really do to try and help out Sanguine in that extent is look to try and kill Fatal Ghost or Keegan, but it's not easy when it's just one Germ versus 3 members out of Blanche, because Sanguine just can't survive against this Wukong and set damage.
Exactly, and that's the thing is that, you know, I like me a little bit of flair, I like me a little bit of flavor. Jangaru taking the Jungle Sun Wukong and going...
Earthshaker completely whiffs, by the way. World Serpent, gone.
World Serpent being used here on the tier 2, I don't mind as long as you can make this last for a long time, but Sanguine don't look like they're going to. Blanche Fan Club now pushing on the tier 2. This ultimate from DoctorL should set players up, and it just doesn't. StRyDEr Prime goes down. Truancii does nail Delnyy, and that's a big deal. A lot of the damage coming out from Delnyy, number 1 on Blanche Fan Club's team. Because of that, we see a little bit of the retreat.
But a lot of gold already credited to Blanche in the process. Can start to expect some of these builds to be getting rounded off now. Oni Fury also just gonna add even more pressure onto Sanguine in case they were thinking about contesting this next Fire Giant. They're gonna first have to worry about those Oni Fury minion waves, considering that if left alone, those Oni minions will definitely be able to take a Phoenix. So Sanguine a little bit stuck.
Beautiful, beautiful timing there from Blanche Fan Club. 24 on the clock, and that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how close it was to the Fire Giant respawning. You take your Oni Fury, and then you cross the street, and you take your Fire Giant because you're opponents across the way have homework to do now. 7,500 is the lead, and that's certainly enough lead to just go start a fire giant. BLNCH Fan Club, with their 10 kills, are going to make their way over to the right side of the map for now. And that's certainly their ball to be throwing. Sanguine are down. Less than 10K. They are certainly down. Not out. They are certainly down. And with that in mind, I think that Sanguine send one player to protect Truancii and look for the steal.
I kind of like that thought, actually. It might just be Sanguine's best bet, because trying to just 5v5 brawl with Blanche is never going to work. There's just too much dive between the Set and the Sun Wukong that even if you kill one of them, or even both, the damage has already been done. Relics have already been burned off of Truancii and BMBobby, as they have been getting frequently burned for the past 10 minutes or so. And Keegan's able to free cast to his heart's desire as well in this Chang'e, and JTask is the only real proponent that could do anything. Keeps losing this World Serpent before the fights even begin, and it's not like he's using them in poor places, it's just that he has to live.
Every single time. And now the BLNCH Fan Club are going to start the fire giant. 10%, is it the steal? No! BLNCH Fan Club are able to take it through and see way too late. And the fight after the fact. DoctorL stuck behind enemy lines, help from Fatal Ghost's pillar. Now there's the knockup as StRyDEr Prime tries to come in and save himself. But everybody eating JTask. Slowed down from the pillar a little bit, slowed down from Jangaru a lot of it, and Keegs is going to take all of it right on home. BLNCH Fan Club doubles Sanguine's 6 kills, 26-26, and they're looking for the right side bird.
It's not over just yet, though. Sanguine still have their mid laner Truancii, who has been able to deal some decent spread of damage through this Vulcan. But unfortunately, it's not going to be enough to keep that right Firebird still standing. Base has been breached. Blanche now have their win condition. And that's only if Sanguine don't wind up wiping on this mid Phoenix first.
Good pin, keeps 2 players in their tracks, but it's just for a moment. Jangaru leading the charge, brought down to half HP, now in trouble as StRyDEr Prime finds some targets. Beads gets rid of the ultimate from the Chang'e. And Blanche get pushed. That's a good defensive set from Sanguine, and they don't even have Jacob.
But losing one Phoenix, even if it is the Phoenix closest to Fire Giant, could be all the room that Sanguine need to try and close this one out, Tom, because it's not even about the Phoenix sieges anymore. It's just about the team fights, and if Sanguine lose even 2 members right now, I could realistically see Blanche charging right into that Titan room and just full bursting, because they've got the Fafnir, the Coerce. Keegan's got his Waxing Moon that he could hold on to. That way when Sanguine does try to contest them on that game end possibility, he just stuns them all, and they have to watch and wait and hope that Blanche won't have the damage.
That's exactly. I think Blanche goes for 1 Phoenix and then walks through, you know? Kill 1-2 players, kill mid Phoenix, kill the Titan, walk home. Easy. StRyDEr Prime here on the Erlang Shen. 1-5-3. Not his favorite day so far. Chernobog though, BMBobby. He's had some nice plays, only 0-1-4, so not a lot of deaths to his name. He's been able to wiggle away out of trouble. But really, like I said, shouts to JTask. He's been doing well this game, and I've also been liking Truancii. He's been safer than he should be. He's been landing these ultimates, and unfortunately, they hadn't killed early game, and mid to late game, he hasn't had the same sort of setup. Blanche has been going out of control.
Blanche has seemed unstoppable so far in these last couple of team fights. And Sanguine has done a decent job, I think, at holding on, but starting to feel more and more like a delay of the inevitable than anything else, unless Truancii can finally find another Earthshaker to connect.
Meanwhile, Jangaru mid takes away half of the mid Phoenix. He's down to about half, but half of the mid Phoenix is gone. So now the rest of the team shifts over.
It is so tough, though, to be in Truancii's position and just know that the pressure is on you to try and hold BLNCH Fan Club out of your base.
Absolutely. I mean, that's... Truancii's looking at anyone and everyone. They tried gone. Left side, JTask, FHP. The rotation comes around. Mid lane, there's still 2 members of Blanche fan club, so they can push into that mid Phoenix if they want. Delnyy and Jangaru are scary players. Left side Phoenix, Blanche now finally pushing in, and they force out Fatal Ghost, they being Sanguine, the defending team. Delnyy can't make it in time.
But the out-of-combat healing. Blanche fan club doesn't care about getting poked on the Phoenixes when they've got Keegan with the Chang'e to just boost everybody right back up to full health. That's the main issue here. There's just not enough anti-heal online just yet for Sanguine. They've got a Divine Ruin on Jacob, but they needed that Divine a little bit sooner on Truancii instead. Truancii, though, kind of stuck between needing Peel for himself. That's why we see the Wing Blade in that 3rd item slot as opposed to what might have been a Divine Ruin. JTask will make it out just in the nick of time with that World Serpent ultimate. But again, this is now a base defense that Sanguine has to try and make happen without one of the best team fighting backline dispersion ultimates that they could ask for.
They're certainly going to try. Might be putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound, but it's certainly going to be something they're going to look for. 6-12 are the kills, Taco. And we've just passed a half hour of play. Blanche find themselves up over 10,000 gold. They're going to look for another Fire Giant and then try to break the base.
If Truancii has Divine, okay, he doesn't. I was going to say, if Truancii has a Divine Ruin online, then Sanguine should try to contest this Enhanced Fire, but without that Divine on the Vulcan, I don't think that JTask is going to be able to spread enough of that anti-heal proc around to stop Keegan's healing sustain for the team in its tracks. They need a much better anti-heal presence than what they have currently for Sanguine.
In defense of the lack of Divine, which funnily enough I think is coming right here, last item from Truancii. Truancii's job is to one-shot you with the ult.
Well, he can't one-shot anybody though if they're able to heal through it. And again, I understand. Well, I thought we'll get back to it later. JTask is not going to get a chance to understand anything. He's just gone.
Yeah, DoctorL being chased out as well. There's the pin, and the frenzy's going to follow. Turn around, some knockups on the Blanche fan club, but Delnyy one more time, 3, 2, and 9. And BMBobby gets hit by the Jingu Bang. And 3 players sitting on the bench. You said 2 would do it, Taco, and I've got to agree. Keegan gets hit by Truancii, but I think that's that. Right side Phoenix is toasted. 5 players strong. It's how they break it.
Draconic form still going strong for IAmTheHamster as he coerces the entire team. Fatal Ghost, Keegan, everybody just focusing in on this Titan room now. Jangaru going to bring down Truancii in the process.
That's it.
For trying to interfere, and, well, sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Nice ending there. It was a big shout out to Sanguine as far as how long it took Blanche, I think, to really bring that one home. You got an 11,000 gold lead and can't just pick up the dice. That means that your opponent's really bringing the defense.
Well, playing it safe rather than sorry, I think, for Blanche fan club at the end there. It really was, I think, just too many factors working against Sanguine, and a really well-played game, too, by Blanche.
Got to agree with that one. Blanche looked really strong. They took the jungle with Sun Wukong and made it shine. Jangaru finally kind of came through and combined with Delnyy, and that was really dirty. Watching the blink stun into the blink whatever set does and just kills everybody. That's how that one works out. But 2 games down and 2 in their pocket. Blanche fan club take the set. We'll be right back.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the SMITE Console League. 2 games was all it took for Blanche Fan Club to come out on top. Welcome back to the Console League. My name is Finch, and you just saw the end, really, of our console day, but we're going to break down exactly how it happened. Helping me with it is Ryan, Aggro, Bailey, and apparently, we just got shown the Wukong jungle, right?
Yeah, the big difference maker for sure. I mean, you saw in some of those highlights how much work that Wukong jungle was putting in. I mean, really big stuff.
And I can't think of anyone else who could have done some of the things that Wukong jungle did from that jungle position.
No way. I mean, 5-0 and 11, Jangaru hard carrying the squad. No
well, the
doubt
stats say
about
so, so I don't know how you're going to argue against it.
I'm not.
Exactly. It was a good game, though, I would say mostly from Delnyy, and that's not just because of the player damage numbers, but because yet again he looked really strong here on this set in the solo lane.
He sure did, yeah. Delnyy was really impressive. This was what you want to be first picking most of the time. It's something like this set.
Yeah, something that can just carry games independently by itself at times. That's what we saw there in the action. I do want to let you all know, though, that you can pick up some gems and have a little bit more fun here in the game. We've been doing a lot of fun stuff with the Battle Pass, with some of these other skins that have been coming out now, so enjoy this gem sale for you. 35% off. Wait, that can't be right. Guys, can you check the
Yeah, that's correct, actually. Up to 35%.
35% off. They just confirmed it for me. That seems really good.
Yeah,
actually.
you should buy them because you'll like it and you'll feel good about it afterwards.
You know, I didn't even piece it together. One of my friends DM'd me this morning. They were like, "Gyms are off. I'm gonna have to buy a bunch of stuff." But that's right, man. There's a gym sale happening, so hopefully you all can enjoy some of that stuff. But Blanche Fan Club do come out on top here yet again at Xbox in a kind of a short day. It felt like, right? A lot of 2-0s throughout the day. Some of the games might have been a little bit long, but for the most part, kind of stomps.
Yeah, I mean, this is when usually you see some of those like top end versus the bottom end. We saw that in PS4 NA, where Nemesis taking on their opposition a little bit lower in the standings as per usual. We expect to see those top-end teams end up with it.
Yeah, I think that occasionally we'll come around with those weeks where it ends up happening like that. So let's take a look at the standings. We'll start off looking at them in North America, specifically with PS4 Nemesis, you just highlighted, are back up near the top. They've created a little bit of space in the plus-minus, but Big Money are right on their heels.
They are, which is surprising. Nemesis has been the dominant force in this league so far this year, but once Nemesis hits their stride, I think they'll be just fine.
It was Ebog that was giving them trouble before, but it looks like they've taken another loss. So let's take a look at Xbox North America standings as well. No surprise that, Hype Unit have been doing really well, 4-0. Plus minus in the game loss must mean they lost one game somewhere out there, but
hey,
that's it.
That's it, and that might be it for the rest of the year if they continue to improve with Crimson getting there and getting more and more comfortable in that ADC role.
Hey guys, you don't get to have Griffin anymore for you in the ADC role. I know that he's been a beast for you and just kind of carrying, so hopefully you can make do with Check's Notes Crimson, who's also insanely good.
Yeah, the only player who's come close to challenging Baronic for best mid laner on Xbox NA for ever.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, it's good to be up there at the top. So here were all the matches that we saw for week 4.
Wait a minute. Are you saying being inherently at the top gives you advantages for the rest of time? Are you saying that?
Yeah, and if I were to have to break it down into, I don't know, a percentage or something like that, then yeah, I might say that being in the 1% is pretty good.
No
yes,
way.
that's something that I think I can feel comfortable saying. But yeah, Rival were able to win earlier on. Some of the off stream ones that we saw, Dabos did win their set against Hive Central. Big Money did beat down E-Boy's Gone Wild as well. So those are some of the offline games that happened here today. Catching y'all up on the schedule. But that is just about it for us here today, Ryan. We've already taken our shot at the 1%. We've closed out all the games here today as well. I feel like we've kind of done everything we need to do. We made fun of Wukong in the jungle.
We definitely did.
Yeah, rule of thirds. I had to come back and find a third one there so that would make sense. So.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Good job.
And make sure that I'm doing comedy correctly. But that does do it for us here today for the Console League. The minor league will be happening tomorrow on Tuesday. Make sure you check back Wednesday for Esports Weekly, a show that even though it's hosted by Aggro, is actually really, really good. And then the SPL will be happening on Thursday and Friday. So again, thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.